those of you who got an invite, welcome to Nerd Prom.
No matter where in the world you are, we're all Nerds International. With the hyphen.
Alright, YouTube, this is Mr. Mean coming at you from Beaumont, Texas. And tonight, my son is down for, hopefully, for bed. He doesn't sleep very long, 2-3 hours at the most, and my poor wife has to get up and feed him because she's breastfeeding. So I wanted to get in a quick video. He's almost a month old, so he's doing really well. Though a couple people have asked and stuff. My wife is doing very well, so life is good as it's gonna get. So tonight's video RPG du jour, come on, you didn't think I'd do a video without throwing in the du jour, is one that's very, very near and dear to my heart. I actually had this game for a long time, played it quite a bit, and then was forced to sell it with a bunch of my other role-playing games years ago. And then recently, I'd say 2-3 years ago, came across it again in a used bookstore, and they had like a crap ton of books, and I bought them all. And this is one of the earlier games from one of my favorite publishers, Pinnacle Ent, and it's written by Matt Forbeck. Brave New World. Yeah, you want to know where Necessary Evil gets its roots? It's right here, baby. It's a different spin, Necessary Evil, but you can definitely see the writing on the wall here. There were several books released for this. The role-playing game itself, this was the core book, and then they had the Ravaged Planet. I just grabbed these two. I have several of the books. Actually, I think I have almost all of them. These two were hardback. I believe the rest were all softback. This is the player's guide. This gives you some more options and everything for the players. This is the early, for lack of a better word, this is the Deadlands system, the original Deadlands system, where you used a crap ton of dice, and you needed multiples of those dice. So there's a character sheet. It was kind of horrible, but it worked. You could go online and find some. This is the early days, though, 1999. So PDFs and all that stuff weren't as readily available. People didn't have the means. You found a lot of Word and Word Perfect character sheets and stuff. So Brave New World, what made it so awesome? Well, it was a new genre of superhero games, and what was cool about this game is you had one specific power. You weren't Wolverine, you weren't Superman, you weren't Spider-Man with a plethora of powers. You were a one-trick pony. You were called a Delta, and you either joined the Resistance, which was the Defiance, which were the bad guys, aka in reality the good guys, the guys that would not sign up and become registered mutants, although they never used the word mutant in this game, if I remember correctly. It's been a minute since I've played it, but the gist of it is they give you an alternate timeline, just like all the other games do, about how superpowers came to be and how people had these powers and stuff. And you had alphas and deltas. Alphas were your Superman, Wolverine, Colossus, your major players of your superheroes. They were the guys with the big powers. And deltas were one-trick ponies. So you might just have super strength, and that's all you had. You weren't invulnerable. You just were really strong. Or maybe you had super speed and you could run really fast, but that was it. Or you could fly. You had no other power. You could fly. Those were deltas. Alphas were, again, like your Superman and your Wolverine and your Colossus. Not only was Colossus super strong, he was pretty impervious for the most part. Things like that. Those were alphas, the major leaguers. And then there was a bad guy called Devastator, and he set off some sort of bomb, and I think it was Detroit. And coincidentally enough, at the same time that this bomb goes off, all of the alphas that are free, and alphas don't necessarily denote good guys or bad guys, they're just alphas. They're alpha level heroes or alpha level supers. they all disappear. Literally just bink, gone. Nobody knows why. The prevailing thought is, and I'm not giving away any plot lines or anything like that, is that Devastator was really big into the occult, and so a lot of people are saying that he had something to do with the bomb. Well, obviously he had something to do with the bomb, but he also had something to do with the heroes disappearing. Deltas weren't affected, though. Only alphas. And then a lot of the alphas that were in maximum security prison, where they had these special restraints that basically negated their powers, those guys didn't disappear either. So there's still a couple of alphas floating about, but they're under very strict lock and key. And the game gives you an alternate timeline with different things. Kennedy is still the president up to the current day, and remember, this is in 1999. I think the game world takes place in like 2000, 2001. So Kennedy is still president. I'll leave it at that. You want to know more? Buy the book. I think you can still get these. I'm pretty sure you can get these as PDFs off of Drive-Thru RPG or RPGnow.com. Available in PDF. You can even find these on eBay and Amazon. Sometimes they go for a hefty price tag. Most of the time not, though. You can get them for cover price or slightly cheaper. Then the nice thing, this is a hardback book. It's partial color. The first 80 pages is color with some black and white, and then the rest of the book is all black and white. Again, art was consistent. That's a big pet peeve of mine. So this is one of the earlier games of Pinnacle that really caught my eye, and I really, really enjoyed it. If you like a good superhero game with a lot of flavor, you got your bang for your buck here. And at $30 for a complete game, you really don't need to buy any other books. This was all the rules. This was everything you needed right here. If you can get Ravage Planet, I highly recommend it because it has some extra careers or character classes. Everybody's a superhero, but this gave you what they call packages. And in your package, like I said, you got one major power, and then everything else was a list of skills and everything that you could take. And they did a great job of just setting it out, fleshing out the world some more. Really a great GM section on telling you how to do things as far as a GM goes. It was really well done. I'm trying to look at the Ravage Planet to see some of the new power classes. Covenant powers. Basically, that was your magic and stuff. So you could have magic and you could do spells, but again, you were kind of limited. The Screamer, Hot Shot was a dude that could throw fire, so it gave you some new. Shrinker was obviously a guy that could shrink. Sneak, obviously a guy. He could basically turn invisible to electronic surveillance and stuff like that. And he also was a kind of a byproduct of, he would like meld into a crowd and you just didn't notice him if he made his role. Telekinesis, and so you had a telekinetic teleporter. The Tough was just the opposite of the super strong guy. The Tough wasn't necessarily super strong, but he could take a hit. His skin was hard. He didn't lose a lot of power. They also gave you a lot of pre-done characters with a character sheet. And you could photocopy these, or if you get it in a PDF, you could just literally print it out, at one sheet, and you could play. So I don't want to give the world away because if you know Necessary Evil, there's some of the very same flavors. There's no evil alien race in this game that we know of. But there's quite a lot of good stuff going on here. Now, of course, the game does show its age, being 1999, and some of the technology and stuff that's in the game, is obviously outdated. I don't think there's a mention of cell phones, if I remember correctly, in the game. There might be. I don't remember. I should check that. But anyway, it was a really good superhero game. It lent itself to a really good campaign play. But again, if you're looking to be Superman or you're looking to be, Batman, this isn't the game for you. You were a one-trick pony. You had a minor power, and it was up to you to figure out how to use it and how to do cool things with it. And they give you a lot of good guidelines. It was a it's a different flavor of playing a superhero. So it's not like Mutants and Masterminds. Now, granted, with Mutants and Masterminds, you could go this route and just, by giving less power points to make your character, you could be a one-trick pony. But they did a really good job in Brave New World. The Savage World system, held up very well. And again, it was slightly modified from Deadlands. It was a very similar system. You were chucking a bunch of dice, but it was very well done. The rules were very clear and concise. It was very well done. Let's go to page 53 for the kids who are following along at home, and it'll tell us the dice we need, because now I'm second guessing myself. So I believe people use them in casinos and on dining tables. Old Monopoly, Yahtzee. And you say you're going to need a fistful of dice. Okay, the more you have, the better you'll be. You can get by with a single die if you have to, but we recommend you have at least 10 dice close at hand. So it's coming back to me now. This was a D6 system, but you needed multiple D6s, and there were modifiers. So it was not, I stand corrected, it was not based off of the Deadlands originals, the original Deadlands where you used a bunch of dice. It was all D6s. And it was bugging me, so I had to check. I apologize for the pause there in the video, but I wanted to get my facts straight. So, classic game, chucking a bunch of D6s, nothing wrong with that for you Shadowrun players. If you like Shadowrun and you like chucking those D6s, or those old WEG D6 fans, or the Master Book series where they used a buttload of D6s, you might like this game. You didn't need a whole bunch, but you could get by with 5 or 6. If you had if you put some experience points, you'd get more dice, so therefore you'd need more D6s. But so yeah, basically a straight D6 system with multiples. So you'd roll like 5d6, 6d6, or something like that, and you'd add modifiers plus or minus, and you'd go from there. So slightly different from the Deadlands system that used the full set of polyhedrals. This just used d6s, but still a good system, and you can see the influence of Deadlands on it, especially when you look at the character sheet and see how it's laid out. It's very reminiscent of Deadlands, but they did a really good job of it. It's very well laid out. Like I said, the art is consistent. The theme of the book flows very well, in my opinion. The mechanics, like I said, they go through everything. They do a good job of it. It is definitely a classic. Definitely gives you that feel of the old red, white, and blue in America's first. They do talk about other areas of superheroes and things like that over the world, because they do give you a world overview. For the book itself, it's pretty jam-packed for 223 pages. With 2 pages being an index. It's pretty well done. And then they give you some of the other books they had, of course, was The Ravaged Planet, was a player's guide, The Power Shield, which is the GM screen, and then Defiance, which was a Defiance source book, and it had new powers in it and what was going on with the Resistance, because I will give some of the plot line away. Kennedy is still in power. The Alphas have disappeared, thanks to Devastator and his magic bomb. The government, in its panic or paranoia, basically enforces the Mutant Registration Act, and that's where the Alphas come in. You either are an Alpha and you work for the government, or private organizations that work for the government, or you're a Defiant, unregistered mutant, bad guy in the public eye. Although they are fighting for truth, justice, and the American way, the government has branded them bad guys, and so you have to you're playing that resistance type game, where you're looking to set things right and make mutants free. So it's really cool. What else can I say about it? It's a good game. If you haven't picked it up, pick it up. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I apologize for the bags under my eyes. I am beat. I am tired. And I'm going to try and get some sleep. So that was just a quick little video du jour of Brave New World by Matt Forbeck and the Pinnacle Entertainment Group. Again, still readily available. You might even be able to buy it from Pinnacle. I'm not sure. But I know you can get it on drive-through as PDFs. And I've seen them in bargain bookstores. Amazon has a couple here and there. They come up. eBay, of course. Look at your favorite bookstore. They may even have a copy laying around, your used bookstores. Because they made quite a few of these. So anyway, this is Mr. Mean signing off on this Tuesday night at about 10:15 p.m. here in Beaumont, Texas. I hope everybody's doing well. As always, peace and hair grease, and as always, be nice.